Welcome to the Check Swing Podcast. Y'all check the show with myself and the start of the show. The brains behind the operation. My man Coach Santa is in the building. First time back all year, I guess. So happy New Year to everybody. And this is the Check Swing Podcast. So if you're checking us out on the New Twist Radio Live, you are checking us out with the Check Swing Podcast. So welcome and enjoy your time. um, Coach Santa, you know how I like
Yo,
to start the shows, man. I think to ask my people how they been. So, my good brother, how you been, man?
feeling a little bittersweet. Um, you know, First off, I know we've been on kind of a hiatus, and I just wanted to kind of take a moment, because shortly after Thanksgiving was when my mother had transitioned. She had passed away, and it was a time of reflection, a time of looking back, remembering all the good times, even the challenging ones. Um, glad to be back, doing what I love to do, talk sports and, uh, you know, talking ish with my bro, and looking forward to 24. And it kind of caused me to start, not to get all melancholy, but death kind of gives you different perspectives, and but it also it kind of got the ball rolling on a couple things I've been sitting on. You know what I mean? So as you know,
Absolutely.
we started, a new venture, a new business, that we will reveal to the world over the course of the summer. Once we get
Can't
things
wait for
together.
it. Can't wait. Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Bottom line, just doing things in areas that they keep taking away from us and our people. So that's kind of the premise. We're using sports and arts, but that's a little tidbit. Other than that, I'm cold. My arthritis is acting upper. I keep forgetting I got new glasses, so I got to keep wearing them. There we go. Oh damn! I didn't know you were black. Um, so so yeah, just uh, I'm looking forward. It's things are well. Things are well. Things are good. Things are on the like. I'm excited. I'm excited for 24.
Absolutely excited for 2024. You are watching the Check Swing Podcast here on New Tools Radio. Thank you for checking us out. It is Friday night, 8:36 in the PM. That's what night is, PM. Excuse me. The I should have wrote down what I was going to say. I was going to say something. I should have wrote it down. I don't have my notepad here, so
Usually do it from the right from the heart and the hip.
I'm going to take a sip and try to stall a little bit. Cranberry juice.
You should have
Um,
lied. You should have lied like Dean Martin, been like, it
are
was a
you stalling
spirit.
now? You stalling now too? So tonight we're going to open the phone lines back up, and the phone line is 669-275-0323. So let me. I actually, the guy actually forgot to open the phone lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. But as we're doing that, today was an interesting day in the world of sports because there was a sport, probably I guess the biggest sports story of the day thus far, unless I missed something within the last couple hours, was the fact that Sports Illustrated laid off basically like everybody. Laid off basically their whole entire everybody. I don't mean to laugh; it's not funny, but um, I'm just like it's kind of up in the air what's happening with Sports Illustrated now. I got to be honest, if you checked out any of the New Twist Radio story today on Instagram or my LinkedIn or anything like that, you will see. I did a quick 1 minute read about the situation, something I put together about the situation. Um, I said that I haven't. Well, no, I didn't say it in this. I've said it in the post. Excuse me, but um, I didn't say it in the recording. I said I typed it out in my post. Let me be clear on that. But it's almost like the last 10 years of Sports Illustrated.
Mhm.
I haven't really heard about Sports Illustrated. You know what I mean? Like you would hear about them after a championship because they had the special package that they would sell you
You get
after.
the football, the licensed
Yeah,
magazine,
all that, a
information,
piece of the grass, a piece of the ticket or something. Um, but like the only other thing you hear about with Sports Illustrated over the last 10 years, kind of really was um, the swimsuit edition.
I
When the
was just
swimsuit,
gonna say I forgot all about the swimsuit edition.
yeah, like but that's like the only time you really hear about them anymore is the swimsuit edition. So, and then ESPN kind of stole that thunder a little bit with their body issue when you had ESPN the magazines, and they still do the body issue. But everything is going digital. Of course, Sports Illustrated has a website, but it just to me from the outside looking in, I didn't study the situation. I know the whole thing just happened today. I feel like Sports Illustrated kind of didn't do enough to remain notable, right? It was
Relevant,
like,
relevant.
yeah, to remain relevant because Sports Illustrated was always a trusted name in sports, has always been, always will be, hopefully. Um, but I just feel like, and I'm just spitballing because I have no idea what their plans were, what their budget. I have no idea, but I just feel like
Well,
hearing a Sports Illustrated podcast on the mainstream advertisements, maybe seeing a Sports Illustrated show. You know, I'm sure they sponsor something somewhere, but a Sports Illustrated network, which I know costs a lot of money, but something to kind of push them forward in this industry.
well, it looks like based on the report, it all comes down to money. They couldn't pay their licensing fees to the parent company, and they were actually playing on. And ESPN did this a couple years ago, where they started laying off or they started getting rid of like beat writers, like they got rid of like Jason Stark and all like the paper guys, you know. But they kind of did it because they like screaming and yelling, and they think that that is what people actually care about. But whatever. Um, but the parent company that owns Sports Illustrated, which I believe is the Arena Group, they missed a payment of $2.8 million back in November. And then on top of that, Sports Illustrated was accused of there's accusations that they're publishing AI generated stories from fake journalists. So that on top of the fact that they're letting go of actual real journalists that have been on the beat for so long might explain a little bit of his demise. And it's kind of a trickle down effect because now it looks like the Los Angeles Times, um, their employees are staging a walkout to protest planned layoffs. So
Mm.
it was kind of a scary thing. I think it was one of the local Philly guys, either Domowitz or it may have been Didinger, that was talking about something like this potentially being a thing later on, especially with the advent of online subscriptions and everything like that. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like with it's kind of like that whole thing with like Lyft and Uber versus like the taxi industry. It's like the taxi industry just failed to be up to date and be latest and greatest with technology. So rather than get on board, they kind of fought and lost, because everybody knows Lyft and Uber. But it just could be like you said, like they just didn't change like they should have or could have, if you will.
Yeah, and I wonder if some of it was because of money. Maybe they couldn't step into that next realm. I mean, you know, as you mentioned earlier, with some of the shows that are on TV, all the screaming and yelling about sports and stuff, how the industry has kind of went that way. It's very interesting to see that Sports Illustrated hasn't taken that route,
Right.
and um, so I'm going to be very interested in seeing how this plays out with Sports Illustrated. But you say they're using AI generated.
There was there was yeah there was there's allegations that there were fake journalists created or AI created these fake journalistic posts, giving credit to non-journalists and passing it as real journalistic work. So which
Yeah, that that's like that's a good and a bad at the same time.
mhm,
Uh, there's a lot of bad to it, a lot more bad to it than good. It's good for like the people that have to pay reporters. Now they don't have to pay reporters, so it's like good for them in that instance. But now you got reporters out of a job,
mhm.
right? Um, but to pass it off as your, as a true journalist, that's a little what's the word I'm looking for? I
Weak.
guess dishonest in a way.
It's
Uh,
weak.
yeah, I mean,
It oozes desperation.
say again.
It oozes desperation.
Yeah, from a big company like that, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
like it's like the Houston Astros, winning those World Series and finding out that they cheated. It's you know they didn't have to, but yet they did.
but they did. Now on the flip side of that, I'm like, well, I've never wanted to have like a favorite columnist or a favorite reporter or something like that.
You,
So
but you know what though? But that's more so because of what media provides today. Like when we were growing, when you and I were growing up, which is telling our age, we used to always look for what the nearest daily news stand. We put the 50 cents in or whatever, and we take our copies, and then resell them, whatever. But we would always look for, okay, at the back you go see the sports section, and stuff in the middle is kind of junky, and then you had what the Inquirer, which had like one section dedicated to sports. So that's what you look for every day. But now everything is so like immediate that a news report in a newspaper that takes a reporter time to get off of their, their device onto the paper and all that. By that time, it's already been tweeted 1,000 times. So it's like
yeah,
that's the challenge.
that is, and that's why I was saying that's that just um, them not moving in a direction where they're more visible. I mean, there's not much more you can do besides have your social media accounts and all like that. If you're somebody like you and I, small podcasts, just doing what we do. But when you're somebody like a Sports Illustrated, ESPN has got ugogs of money, right? Um, a newspaper, which depending on the market, all newspapers are struggling, but depending on the market, you have some that are bigger than others. Um, that they didn't step forward, like they never stepped up they never took that next step. Blockbuster didn't take that next step. Like you were saying, what was the one you mentioned earlier? The
Oh, Lyft and Uber and taxis.
Lyft and Uber. The taxis never took that next step. 'Cause, I mean, they never moved into the app realm. It was always you had to call.
Hmm.
Now you can use the app to do it, but they could have been first. So sometimes it's not about being first; it's about being best. But in those situations, not so much. 669-275-0323. I got a gnat in here, man. 0323. That's the number to call. Get up with us. Um, this past Monday night, I've been kind of like avoiding talking about this. This past Monday night, the Eagles took a trouncing at the hands of the hands of the
Milwaukee.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right.
We all saw it. If you didn't see it, and spoiler alert, they lost. Um, Miguel, we haven't talked about it. I'm going to ask you what happened, in your opinion, what happened, and in your opinion, what needs to happen.
Okay. Um. So what happened? I think that what happened was it all kind of goes back to when they made the decision. I believe it was after the Seattle game to go with Matt Patricia as defensive coordinator to run the size defense, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I think that I personally think that they quit. Just the way that just the way they were tackling, it was like they weren't even going after the tackle. They were just letting players kind of come to them, and then they would just kind of turn over. It just seemed like they just quit, in my opinion. And I a lot of this falls on the coaches and it falls on the owners more, in my opinion, than the players. Um, I mean, the players are at fault for some of the performance on the field, but when you look at some of like the play designs and how every single week you kept hearing from the pros, oh my god, they're going to run this play, and then they run it. You know what I mean? It's like everything was predictable. It wasn't creative. When you look at the like what Green Bay did to Dallas, um, you saw different formations. You saw players, movement. You saw movement. You saw different things. It just seemed like after a while that it was just like, okay, we're gonna go five wide and everybody go deep. You know what I mean? That's how the offense seemed to kind of go. But is that a sign that the coaches need to go? And I think they did an interview with I can't even I always forget, it was Johnson, right, for the offensive coordinator for the Eagles.
Brian Johnson, yeah.
Brian Johnson, and I think the question was, do you think you should have run more? And I think he gave like a 3-page statement, and it was words, but that was it. It was like, and then part of that explanation that he gave, he threw Jalen Hurts under the bus, because basically his premise was, well, the way we run our offense is, we do the RPO, and then the responsibility of the quarterback is to see what the best option is based on the defense that he's given. So, okay, if that's the case, then you're basically saying that every play is just an RPO and then go from there, unless we're in a dire situation, then we're just going to go empty back set, five wide, and we're going to go deep.
That's the recipe.
That's the recipe. But I honestly think that it's just time. I was disappointed to hear that Sirianni is staying, but then you hear the rumors that the reason why they haven't met yet with ownership is because I think Lurie's in the Caribbean buying a boat. Rich people problems, boy, I tell you. So
I think they're meeting today.
I think they're meeting today. Yeah. So I'm hoping that, and you know what, it would happen on a Friday, wouldn't it? So if he's gonna get fired, it's gonna happen today. So yeah, Sirianni has like this. He has like this hate to face. Like, you have a kid. Yeah, he has like that nonverbal, like, kick me right in my nose, like, so it breaks in like four places. You know what I mean? Because he does goofy stuff. There's this meme of, remember, I think it was the Super Bowl when I think it was Jalen Hurts and he was just looking at Sirianni, and then Sirianni was like, "Yeah," and then Jalen is like, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." it's like he's like a rah rah guy. Like he's you know,
Yeah, he's fiery. He's definitely fiery.
yeah, but it's not even fiery. It's like, and it's funny because me and my the a coworker buddy of mine, we kept saying all year it's going to be Ravens and it's going to be Eagles in the Super Bowl, Battle of the Birds, Battle of the Birds, and it was like right at the 10-1 mark. It was like the Ravens started kind of fixing their small issues, and now they are kind of like the juggernaut. That's why they got the number one seed, and we just kind of like we're like, okay, we're good enough. We're just going to make the playoffs, and that's it. But yeah, I think they quit. One slight thing I will say,
Mm.
what was that noise? Was weird. It sounded like a bus was
But did it
stopping.
come from me?
I think so. It was like shh. It sounded like a bus was like kneeling down or something. I don't know. Maybe it was my train of thought. But I think, oh yeah, I think too that the biggest thing was, remember when we didn't re-sign CJ Gardner Johnson? He signed with the Lions, right?
Right.
And there
Yeah.
was something about that move. I was like, I don't know. I think we should have kept him. So we lost him. We lost Kaiser White. Now, granted, he was on the IR for most of the year with the Cardinals, but when you think about the linebacking core that we have, other than Hassan, we had to get Leonard late in the year. But we had TJ Edwards who went to the Bears and Kaiser White who went to the Cardinals. And the
Right.
Eagles historically have always done what? Don't like linebackers. That's why they got Jeremiah. They got rid of Jeremiah Trotter the first time, but then when he came back, we went to the Super Bowl. So it was it's almost like with the Flyers. Like for decades, the only missing piece of the Flyers was they needed a goalie, but they never got. They always went. They always went dollar store discount on the goalies and then spent money everywhere else. And I think that's what's happening with the Eagles. They don't spend enough or concentrate enough in certain areas, and then when you have a good linebacking core, they get rid of them or they let them walk.
Yeah, and they've done that. They've done that for at least since 2017
Right.
because they had Jordan Hicks and they let him go. I'm gonna take a quick sip. They had Jordan Hicks and they let him go, and then we really haven't been without a linebacker since then. Um, for those who are just coming in, you're checking out the Check Swing podcast with myself and the Starter Show. Coach Santa is in the building. He's down in Baltimore. He's down there with a team that actually is still in the playoffs. And I actually have a feeling I know what he's going to say in one of the questions that's coming up later in the show. And spoiler report, I'm probably going to say the same thing. But the question to him was, what happened with the Eagles? What happened to him and what needs to happen? To be honest with you, yeah, that part you said about the predictable offense. If your offense is predictable, what you going to do in professional football? In NFL, I don't care, NFL, USFL, XFL, CFL, whatever. You got a predictable offense, you're not going to score. Okay. Um, People were calling for Nick Sirianni's job. And I hear what people are saying, right? But I think it would be, first of all, it would be bad business to do that. I'll explain that in a second. Um, but then it would also kind of be crazy because he's been with the team 3 years. You've been in the playoffs all 3 years with him. Okay, he took a team that really no one thought was going to go to the playoffs. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, I was responding to a comment. Um, really, a team that what they were 4-11, 4-11-1 the um, the year before
Hmm.
to the playoffs. Okay. And then the following, they used to losing the first round to Tom Brady. Many people have fallen to Tom Brady. It just is what it is. Um, and then the next year you go to the World's. Oh goodness, you go to the Super Bowl. Okay, and then the next year you're in the playoffs again. Yes, you lose in the first round. Epic collapse. But do you really fire somebody like that? Like, do you get rid of them right away? You're judging them off the last 7 games of the season, in a sense.
You know what it is? It's the collapse.
It was bad.
It, it
It was bad.
it's you can tell like last year, right? Things didn't start off so well, so Sirianni did what? He gave up his play calling duties to his offensive coordinator, and then everything just changed.
Mhm.
Um, but this year, it just seemed like there's just it's one thing when you lose, but it's another thing when you just like they just lost all technique, all they didn't know how to tackle, they didn't know how to do basic things.
But can I
But
jump in? A lot of those things were happening all year long. They were just getting away with it. And like, how many times did you really watch the Eagles play this year and not think like in that streak where they were 10-1 and not think, man, they was lucky to win that game. To me, it was only one time. It was only one game where I said they were lucky to win that game. That was against the Dolphins.
you don't think they were lucky against the Bills?
Yeah, they were lucky against the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got lucky against the Bills.
And I would say too they were lucky against the Cowboys the first game, but then again, it's Dak.
Absolutely, they were lucky against the Cowboys the first time. It's like, and people will say, "Well, it's a game of inches." I understand it's a game of inches. He stepped out of bounds by like that much. The dude didn't score the touchdown by about that much. I understand that, but your defense needs to be able to keep that from happening. Period. You don't want your defense to even make it that close
Right.
because they make it that close. Now it's on film. It's like, okay, what can we do to improve upon that and score on that?
Right.
So there
Yeah.
was times. I mean, like in that first thing about week one, didn't you think, "Whew, we lucky to get away from that one"? Must be them week one jitters.
Right. And it right, because the Eagles always historically the first 4 games, there's always a clunker in there, or they just don't know how to, know how to win. Like they did in the beginning and couldn't the rest of the way. So
Yeah. Excuse me. So, but yeah, I think talk about Sirianni being fired. I think it's kind of crazy talk. I really do. Um, Now, if next year is a bad year, then okay, I'll be with you. And you know me, Miguel. I never like calling for somebody's job unless it's like treacherous. But if next year is like this year, if it's like the second half of this year, yeah, yeah,
but
something
but
ain't
but,
right.
see, but I think like was it too quick to fire Chip Kelly? No, because the team lost respect. He made some horrible moves. Was it too quick to fire
The
Peter?
Chip Kelly one was kind of more of a house cleaning type thing.
Right. But
Like
I
it,
think
it was appeasing. It was appeasing way more people than just the people that we think about.
yeah, but I think with Doug Peterson, there was no reason for him to be fired. Now that you look at everything, he had everything in order. I mean, granted, he wanted some specific
I
people,
didn't think there was a reason for him to fire him then.
but I think what they attempted to do was I think they were really trying to please Carson Wentz, and then after he got fired, they're like, well, that's not enough, and so I think they got stuck. You know what I mean? Because now they're in a situation where they have several possibilities. Good coaches out there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know if Belichick would work here.
I
um,
don't think so.
I would take him as defensive coordinator though.
That's what I would do.
I
Now,
would take
we probably ain't trying to go that way, but I would
right,
defensive coordinator. Let's do it.
right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, as far as like, I just don't think Sirianni is a coach. I think he's a cheerleader.
That's the way it comes off. That's the way it comes off. Comes off as that rah rah guy, get you amped up, get you ready to go out and run through a wall, but not necessarily prepare you for the impact that wall is going to give you.
Right.
That's what it kind of that's what it had been seeming like. All right.
Mm-hmm.
669-275-0323. Phone lines are open. So
Hold on, I gotta razz somebody because somebody told me that the team that I'm coaching now is not as good as the team I was coaching before. So since he plays for UNC, I'm gonna tell him go Duke.
whoa.
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Oh, I forgot. I hit a
Whoa. I'm
chord,
not on
didn't
your side with this one.
I? I apologize.
I am not on your side with this one.
So I have
I'm
a
gonna show you
person.
something real quick. I'm gonna show you something.
Uh-oh.
And I'm mixing up my live. Can you see that right there?
There you go.
Bought that from the bookstore on the campus of Chapel Hill.
Well,
Yes.
and I got this from a gift from one of my former players.
Listen, you need to wash your mouth out with soap then.
I do. I do. That was sacrilegious. Okay, all right. Calm down. I feel I feel I feel the vibes through the airwaves. Calm down. I
You know
do,
who else is a Duke fan? I'm sorry. Our dad is a Duke fan, but go ahead. Just go ahead. Say what you
but
go
that
ahead.
makes sense though because so wait. So let me guess. Our dad is a Duke fan, a Yankees fan, a Lakers fan, and whoever wins the Stanley Cup, right?
No, he's a Duke fan, he's a Yankees fan, he's a Heat fan,
Oh,
he's a Colts fan.
oh, that's right. The Colts. Yeah, that's right. Because I I never. They hate the Colts here in Baltimore. Absolutely despise the Colts.
Yeah, because they used to be the Colts.
Right. And then that famous story of them moving to Indianapolis overnight, and there was a
Mhm.
big yeah. Um. Yeah. So okay. Yeah, I got you. Um. So my I think I sent you a message. One of our fans wanted to call in, but was unable to because he's getting a he needs an access code. That's what I said. Yeah. But I have a feeling because depending on certain providers, you need like an extra code because of that provider. I say that because previously about 8 years ago we did a certain we had a conference call number that was free to everybody, and then they made a change, and then all of a sudden everybody that was on this one provider wasn't allowed to call in, or they only were allowed like they put minutes on it. It was really weird. So,
I would have to look into that because I don't know anything about that.
but I was gonna attempt to put them on three way, like have them call in my phone and then just put them up to the mic. That's
Um,
I don't know if that'll I don't know how that'll project.
yeah, me either. But hey, we can try it. We can
All
see
right,
we can see what happens.
let me see if I can get the caller on the phone.
While you're doing that, Miguel, is there anybody that needs to go when we talk about the Eagles? Anybody that needs to go?
Hold on, caller. Your caller number 4. Please hold. Jerk. Hold on. Who needs to go? All of them. Well, I won't say all of them, but we definitely need to find linebackers. We need to find specialists that can tackle. Um,
We need a tackling coach. That's what we need.
Yeah, but that whole thing. Remember that stunt they did when Hurts fumbled the ball in the second Dallas game, and all they did was just have him fall to the ground while holding the ball down. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, so he doesn't fumble anymore, but now you don't tackle. So, but that to me that's a reflection of the coach when fundamentally you can't do any of those things. You can't cover, you can't tackle. That falls on coaching to me.
Here's where I push back on you with that statement. These guys are professionals. Fundamentally, they shouldn't need anything from a coach.
But
They fundamentals, like if you're at the professional ranks and you have to be taught fundamentals, you need to take a step back.
so why is it that certain players can play on certain teams and be successful, but then when they, you know what I mean, when they transition to someplace else, then they lose their fundamentals? Is that lack of discipline or the lack of the coaching staff instilling discipline and order and technique?
All it is that you were excuse me, you were in a system that was good for your skill set. Now you have gotten going to a system that exposes your weakness. Still the same game,
Right.
just a different system.
Gotcha.
So you have it's almost like playing baseball and people playing you defensively straight up as a batter. They're playing you straight up, or they playing the shift. They're
Right.
playing the shift. What you're going to do? You have to adapt and hit the other way. You're a professional baseball player.
Right.
If you're a professional football player, your fundamentals need to be there.
Gotcha.
Plain and simple to me. So you have a caller that is a Carolina fan, right?
No, I was making fun of the Carolina fan for being
Okay?
a Carolina fan, but no, this is my brother. Brother, you are on.
Yes, I'd like to order a large pizza with pineapples.
Really? Really? That's what you want? You want a large pizza with pineapples?
Can you hear
You
me?
want a
Yeah,
soggy pizza? That's what you want? You
yeah.
want a soggy pizza?
Yes, he wants to. He likes pizza. He thinks he likes pineapples on his pizza, but that's another story.
Pineapples belong on pizza. Yes,
Oh,
they do.
I like Hawaiian pizza, though. I do like Hawaiian pizza.
you don't like? Oh, you too? Jesus.
I do like Hawaiian pizza. It's good. Delicious.
No pork, but yes.
What's your
So
question?
the the changes that are. Do we get an update on finally on what the outcome is for Sirianni?
No, but while you're talking, I can look it up right now.
Yeah, the last we heard was they're supposed to be meeting today, but nothing's come
Yeah,
out as far as
we're way past the today, right?
right.
So I guess they're not going to say anything until maybe early tomorrow when nobody's reading the paper.
Right.
I don't think they're looking to do anything. However, I know that Lori is a big time Belichick fan and New England Patriots because he was trying to purchase them at one time. I remember that prior to acquiring the Eagles, but he loves everything New England. I guess that's why we got Matt or Fat Patricia, who I totally don't like. Can't coach worth a lick, but Belichick likes him, so I don't get it. But what do you
He brings up a good point. Like I didn't even think about how Jeff Lurie, like he's from New England, the New England area, something like that, and that could be a factor when trying to go out and get Belichick. Please don't get Belichick though, please.
So caller, who would you get then to either replace Sirianni or
Hold
do
on,
you
what's the caller's name? What's his name?
state your
Toronto?
What did he say?
Geraldo, Geraldo?
Oh, Geraldo. Okay, go ahead. Ask me a question, Miguel.
Yeah. So who do you replace? Do you replace the whole coaching staff? Do you who do you go after?
The coordinators really failed them, but that still falls on Sirianni. I don't like Sirianni in the press conferences at all. It's like horrible to hear. He's showing that he has no coaching acumen whatsoever. He doesn't know about football. He's not an offensive coordinator. And if you recall last year, he tried it and they took it away from him. And the OC last year was very successful. But it looks like, and this is probably why Brian Johnson has been getting interest, he took over the play calling because it's the same vanilla offense from last year that he tried and they took from him. Desai is overwhelmed. You got the talent, you got everything there, but it also falls on Howie because he doesn't draft linebackers. I don't know where this philosophy comes from. I mean, you don't have to get one in the first round. Because if I'm not mistaken, Hall of Famer, what's my man's name? Baltimore Ravens was a 6th-round pick or 2nd round.
Ray Lewis?
Ray Lewis. What was this pick? He wasn't a first rounder, was he?
I don't believe he was. Let me see.
I don't remember what Ray Lewis was.
Yeah, so you don't have to draft him in the first round. There hasn't been a Khalil Mack in a while, and I get analytically why you don't draft them early or whatever, but you don't draft them at all. And the ones that they did have, they didn't develop, and they're doing well elsewhere. So you gotta revamp the whole defense, the philosophy, the coaching. You got to get coaches that know how to teach. So, even though he's one of the people that I like, let's start with the coordinators, and I like saying his name because I think about the game in the '80s, Tic Tac Toe, Wink Martindale, and the reason why I like Wink Martindale is he's a Ryan prodigy, the 4-6 defense. He comes from Rex Ryan and his father, Buddy Ryan. So he's from that tree, that middle tree. They had a linebacker coach that they got rid of that's now in the Ravens. Was another individual that I think was.
Yeah, I think it was Darius Slay that said that he probably should have been the coordinator, the defensive coordinator.
He should have been.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they got rid of him. I think, if your philosophy doesn't fit, and this is the other problem, they'll never admit it. But Jerry Jones, Jeffrey Lurie is trying to beat Jerry Jones. He's interfering too much. They won the Super Bowl 2017 with Doug Peterson. And the reason why Doug Peterson was successful is they followed the philosophy that Andy Reid had. Andy Reid surrounded himself with teachers. Jim Johnson. He had Ron Rivera. He had the defensive back, Leslie Frazier. He had all of those guys who could teach the skills all over the place. All you have is stopping on the line. You don't have teachers in the other positions, the position coaches. You got rid of Deuce Staley, who I think is also a good coach. So you got rid of the teachers, and then you're starting, and I don't know how the NFL, how they do that, but how do you give the Super Bowl loser the toughest schedule in the NFL the following year? I mean, that's a hell of a...
I'm going to stop you there, Geraldo, and appreciate you hitting us up and supporting us. I got to stop you right there because I'm not one like you. They had to play a first place schedule, so it was all. I think what the 8 to 14 games were already already set to who they were going to be playing, and then they had to play a couple other first place teams. Now the way it fell with what they were calling the gauntlet, that way it fell. That was that's rough.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be a champion, you gotta knock the pins down that's in front of you. So
No, that's true.
I always push back against people talking about the schedule. The schedule is the schedule, and last year people talked about the schedule was too easy,
Right.
and they thought once the Eagles played some tough competition, it was going to they would look like the way they did at the end of this season, but it didn't happen that way. It just so happened now that this was the tough schedule, and then it kind of turned around at some point. They started off great, 10-1. They started off great, and then just fell apart after San Francisco. And honestly, to me, San Francisco, not only San Francisco, but the Jets too. People don't talk about this. They put the blueprint together on how to stop that Eagles offense. They did. And everybody was reading that same book the rest of the season. They got one win after that. One win. And again, they were lucky to get that one. They were lucky to get that win. So
All right, thank you, caller.
thank you, caller. We appreciate you.
He still wants the large pizza, Hawaiian.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So wasn't going to get into it too much. I don't really want to get into it too much about Jason Kelsey having the coaches back and saying he's a great coach and all like that. That can be another conversation another time. We put out there earlier this week, well, I guess it was Tuesday morning, that Jason Kelsey was saying he was retiring. He has since kind of walked that back ever so slightly. Said he's not, ready to make that announcement just yet. He said he'll know when the time is right. If you all ever check out his podcast with his brother Travis, excuse me, he mentioned it then. So we'll keep an eye on that. Jason Kelsey's still at the top of the game, so it's hard to walk away when you're at the top. But 13 years in at that position, man, listen, that's tough. That's tough. So Miguel, I wanted to know, I don't know if you have the documentation there, but I know you wrote it down. I was wondering if you have our predictions handy. And I should have mentioned this pre-show, but I forgot. Looking at some other stuff. That's shame on me. Because I'm pretty sure I probably had them predicted at about 14-3 again, or something like that, maybe 13-4 again.
You always pick 14-3 every year. I do not have that documentation. AKA the blue toilet roll sheet.
Well, don't even worry about that. We'll just move on to the to this year's Super Bowl and this year's playoff situation. Now that the Eagles are out, who you rolling with? Are you done with football, or you still gonna be watching and rooting for somebody?
I always do this once my team is eliminated, the Eagles. Then I kind of I look for like either a juggernaut that I like or an underdog. So I'm loving the Detroit Lions story. Even though I'm not a golf fan, I just don't like his game. I just never liked his game. And also Jordan Love from the Packers. I mean, he just played the perfect game and looked a little eerily similar to Aaron Rodgers as far as like form and like the short throws and like the pinpoint accuracy.
I'm a little worried about playing them next
year. Yeah, so am I.
I'm a little worried about it. He's gonna pick us apart. Every time I think that about a Green Bay quarterback, we end up winning. But it's going to pick us apart if our defense is looking like it did at the end of this season.
But I think it will be. I'm thinking it might be a Ravens 49ers rematch, or Ravens and maybe Green Bay. Maybe Green Bay will be the that sleeper team that has awoken. You know what I mean? So
So I just kind of changed up my pick just while you were talking, and I'm going to explain why.
Dude, you suck at commitment, and I only say that because remember when I was sending you logos, and you're like, "Oh man, I like that one." And then you're like, "I like that one too." He's like, "I like all of them." I'm like, "Dude, that's not how this works. You got to pick one."
Yeah, I'm terrible. I'm terrible. But with that being said,
Terrible.
I'm still riding with the Ravens in the AFC. Riding with the Ravens, riding with LeVar, excuse me. Is it LeVar or Lamar? I didn't. It's
Lamar,
LeVar.
Lamar,
Lamar.
Lamar
Lamar.
Jackson.
I don't know why I just got so confused with that. Anyway, I'm going to see. I changed actually while you were talking. I changed it 3 times in my head because I was going to say Ravens.
3? You did 3? Jesus.
My brain, you gotta know how my brain works. I was going to say Ravens Niners. I was agreeing with you, and then you started talking about Jordan Love and the Packers, right? And I started thinking about how when teams tend to have the bye, historically, they will sometimes come out rusty and have gotten beaten. Eagles, luckily, that was not one of their fates. But we have seen teams get the bye and get upset. I feel like for the first time ever, there will be a team that will beat the Cowboys and the 49ers in the playoffs, in the same playoffs. And it will be this year's Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I don't have the Bucks beating the Lions. So we got a Lions Packers in interdivision NFC championship.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds kinky.
Now, when you have that, the Lions have a pretty good home field advantage right now. Those fans are fired up about their Lions right now.
I still hate golf, and I would hate golf in that game.
You will see a Lions Ravens Super Bowl this year.
That doesn't even sound right. It doesn't come off the tongue
That's
well.
because the Lions haven't won anything since way before we was thought of. Way before we knew who Barry Sanders was. Way before, we got a bunch of comments up here. Let me see. Let me see if any of them are. Oh Lord, that's y'all going back and forth. Oh geez. Okay.
Well, I've only been able to make one comment so far, but
So I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to say Detroit and Baltimore. Not going out on a limb. Well, this is the year that Lamar gets over that hump, that playoff hump. He also has the bye, and it could be his team that comes out flat. But I'm predicting it's going to be the 49ers. The 49ers had an early bye, if I remember correctly. They had an early bye. And then they just kept playing and playing and playing and playing. And maybe they didn't have early, but they've been on a roll.
yeah, but
They've been on a roll.
the way the Ravens picked them apart, the 49ers, I think now everybody has what you said, the remedy for the 49ers. So if the Packers follow that, I think the Packers will be okay because their offense is explosive at times, as you saw against the Cowboys. Their defense is still fairly young and suspect, but I think for my money's worth, I would love to see a Green Bay Ravens Super Bowl. Um, although,
I
I
would like
mean,
to see that. I would like to see that.
so all right, so let's do this. If the Ravens lose to the Texans and the Buccaneers beat the Lions, how does that change your?
If the Texans beat the Ravens and the Buccaneers beat the Lions,
Yes. How does that change your? Well, I mean, it'll obviously change. Um, yeah, we'll pick those two games.
Thank you, Gerardo. Appreciate it. If the Texans beat the Ravens, that means it would be Texans and whoever wins between the Bills and the Chiefs. I
I think
don't
the
see
Bills
the
have the. I think the
Texans
Bills.
going to the Super Bowl.
Say that one more time.
I don't see the Texans going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say if Ravens get beat this week, give me the Bills on the AFC side because the Bills are going to win this week, and give me the it would be between let's see so I guess you're asking me to that I'm still going with my Packers beat the Niners in this situation.
Yeah.
Um, so it will be Packers and the Bucks. I would take the Packers over the Bucks.
Okay.
I would take the Packers over the Bucks in that situation. So it would be Packers Bills, which would be a weird looking Super Bowl to me.
Uh, I don't know. It rolls off the tongue better for me. You know.
Bills Packers rolls off a little better than Packers Bills. Give me Bills Packers Super Bowl, but it's going to be Lions Ravens Super Bowl.
Lions. It's
That's
ugly.
that's what's going to happen. I know. It's their time. It's their time. It's been building for the last few years. It's been. Remember the Lions blew the Eagles out on Thanksgiving. You remember that? Eagles up
Unfortunately, yeah.
172 points. It was Chip Kelly one of them Chip Kelly years.
Yeah. That was the start. That was the beginning of the end of the Chip Kelly era. Was it Mark Sanchez? Yeah, Mark Sanchez was the quarterback, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember who the quarterback was, but it was bad business. Real quick, Phillies made one off-season move, signing Nola. Have they done enough?
No.
What do they need to do?
They need to sell the team.
Yeah.
Um, I you got to cut down the strikeouts. You got to cut down the horrible batting average and the unclutchness. So it's time to trade the Schwarber Hoagie, whatever Schwarber Hoagie Fest. Um, uh, I think that's the big trade that I would make. Whoever will take his contract and his old 98 batting average, and start calling up some of the young guys. What? So one of the things that I always
Philly's supposed to have one of the better farm systems right now. Am I correct in saying that?
so well they got this the last 2 years in a row they went into the international drafting pool.
Mm-hmm.
They got this guy. You would call him Jesus, but it's Jesus. Thank you very much. Starling
Jesus.
Jesus.
That was my name in Spanish class in 10th and 11th or 11th, 12th grade.
Oh, was it?
Was it good?
Um, but they got this switch hitting shortstop from the Dominican. Go figure. Starling Kala. 5 tool potential, better defense than your Trey Turner, just as fast, hits well both sides of the plate. They have a Colombian shortstop named William Bergola, left hand hitting shortstop. Again, better defensively. I'm thinking about defense and as well as hitting. Justin Crawford, who's Carl Crawford's son. I think he's like the number 4 Say again.
And J.P. Crawford's cousin.
JP Crawford's cousin, Carl Crawford's son. Really awkward moment. When he got drafted by the Phillies, he bought his mom a car. I'm like, shouldn't your dad have bought him a car? Anyway, um, so, but and granted, Phillies have historically always stunted the growth of some of its youth. Like they did the last time I think they did with Ryan Howard. They do this thing called service time. So if they're called up too early in their they're too early in their first season, then it counts as credit of service time. So they always wait until they can only play like just enough games so they don't get that year early of service time so they can hit free agency earlier, basically. So they did it to Rollins, they did it to Utley, and they did it to Howard. So they don't historically bring up like you're 19, 20 years old because he was supposed to go to LSU, but he forewent that and went into the draft. So you got Justin Crawford, who could be your replacement in the outfield. You already have Rojas, who which scares me. They think he's going to be the next coming of Gary Maddox, which I hate when they put labels on. It's like when Andy Reid declared that Jaquan Jarrett was the next Brian Dawkins, but he wasn't even Brian Dawkins is like towel. So yeah, you got to be careful who you
Didn't they declare Derek Barnett the next Reggie White because he came from
just because
Tennessee?
he came from Tennessee and he was like a foot shorter and like 80 pounds lighter. They're like, no, bro. Yeah, but
Um,
yeah.
so we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Next time on the show, I'm going to talk about Chase Utley, excuse me, possibly being a Hall of Famer. Is Shohei Ohtani, has he done enough to already be a Hall of Famer? We'll talk about that next time. And are the Dodgers a super team? We'll talk about that too, because they just made a couple big signings in the offseason, and the Phillies did not. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Yes, we would wrap up when you get here, because yeah, it's time for us to go. But I did want to make a quick mention of a young man that may not be as young as most young men in his situation. Okay. And we're talking about Cam McCormick. Okay. Cam
Who?
McCormick
Oh,
is a college football player and plays for Miami, University of Miami. And he will be coming back for a ninth year of eligibility. I'm not lying. This is not a joke. This is dead serious. This is the AP, the Associated Press. This is not.
this is not AI generated.
This is legit website. There you go. Boom. You know this.
I
This is
thought you only get 4 years of eligibility. What is that about?
so. I would like to break it down for you. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll try to break it down for you by memory. I believe he played 3 years. Then he was hurt a year. Okay, so you get a medical red shirt when you're hurt a year.
Right.
Then there was a COVID year. So when you play when you're in college during that COVID year, you actually get an extra year of eligibility.
That's crazy.
So with all that being said, and just put the knee bone connected to the wrist bone and all like that, put it all together, and he's coming back for his ninth year of eligibility. Yet, because I didn't go through the clearinghouse forms when I was in high school because I wasn't planning on playing any sports in college, I lost my final year of eligibility because you get 4. Your eligibility starts if you don't go through clearinghouse the day you step on campus. So because I was there one extra year, I lost my final year of eligibility.
Uh,
Actually, I guess I shouldn't really say it like that. My first year on campus was my first year of eligibility. So my last year, I had one more year to go. But that kind of boosted me into my coaching path. So there you go. RDOT has explained it for us real quick. He redshirted 1 year, played 3 years, got a COVID year, and 3 injury years.
so for those young guys out there who wish to have a 10-year an NCAA career, that is the magic potion.
That's the way to do it.
And
for you.
And China just came out with a new variant of COVID that is deadly upon breathing. So maybe he'll get
Are you
another.
serious?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you the video. It's not being reported yet.
Here we go. We got the COVID XL coming.
Yeah, I technically have 4 years of eligibility.
I don't have any. All right. Well, look, we're gonna get up out of here.
Oh, sad moment. Tears.
Yeah, we're gonna get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us on the Check Swing Podcast. We will talk to y'all next time right here on Neutrals Radio. Make sure you check us out on Neutrals Radio. Go to the live tab and check out all of our shows. All the shows that are airing on Neutrals Radio and you can also check out the 10-7 show, relationship-based show. Come get your advice. Come learn something. All right. With that being said, we are out of here. We'll talk to y'all next time. Love y'all for loving us. I don't know why I'm getting all the graphics together. And we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Deuces.